So once again, here we are, the third Sunday of Advent, which equals joy, the joy of having Christ in your life. And as pink is the color of joy, we are meant to be reminded of that whenever we see an Advent wreath. So, in the spirit of Joyful Sunday, it seemed like a good time for a biography homily. Someone who is a witness to the joy of faith. Because after all, our first and second readings both covered that theme really well. I rejoice heartily in the Lord my God, and my God is the joy of my soul. And the second reading, rejoice always and pray without ceasing. You know, both of those readings were very clear messages of joy. So in the search for a joyful Catholic, I dusted off my copy of the American Catholic Almanac, 365 short entries about people or events somehow involving Catholicism in America. It may or may not have been sitting on my bookshelf since Christmas of 2014, and I was determined to use it. It was actually kind of disappointing. It was actually very difficult to find a message of joy in this book. Most of the entries were closer to the themes of bravery, courage, struggle versus success, truth, freedom, and the dignity of all people. That was there a lot. There is so much pro-life in this book, you wouldn't believe it. Or don't believe it and read the book. But it's just, it made sense when I thought about it. Because all of those values are American. As Americans, we don't talk about joy all that often. It doesn't seem to be a unifying societal value for us, the way bravery or freedom kind of define us as a people. But in any event, there is at least one entry in here that will serve us well for today. It is a short summary of the life of Dorothy Day. And Dorothy Day is not a saint yet, but if you ask me, it's only a matter of time. So without further ado, here is the entry for November 29th, the Reluctant Saint. Dorothy Day defended the faith, served the poor, campaigned for justice, and fasted for peace. For that, her admirers call her a saint. Don't, was her reply. I don't want to be dismissed so easily. Soon she may not have a say in the matter. Born in New York in 1897, Day grew up in California and Illinois. After spending 2 years at the University of Illinois, she dropped out and moved to New York to work as a journalist. In the pages of radical left-wing papers, the equally radical Day advocated for socialism, free love, and anarchy. When the Bolsheviks took over Russia in 1917, she celebrated. And when she found herself pregnant and single, she had an abortion. Gradually, however, Day found herself drawn as powerfully to God as she was to progressive ideologies. While living in New York in the early 1920s, she started sneaking into a Catholic church to pray. When her work took her to New Orleans, she went regularly to benediction services at St. Louis Cathedral. And when she gave birth to a baby girl in 1926, after believing her abortion left her barren, she had her baby baptized Catholic. I did not want my child to flounder, as I had often floundered, she explained. I wanted to believe, and I wanted my child to believe. And if belonging to a church would give her so inestimable a grace as faith in God and the companionable love of the saints, then the thing to do was to have her baptized a Catholic. Day followed her daughter into the church in December 1927, and in the years that followed, she allowed the gospel to transform both her life and her politics. She believed and practiced the faith in all its fullness, embracing the church's teachings on faith and morals, and heeding the gospel's call to serve the poor. She did the latter in large part through the Catholic worker movement that she helped found. She died on November 29th, 1980. Today, her official cause for canonization is moving forward, whether she likes it or not. Dorothy Day rocks. I love her to pieces because she is a wonderful testament of someone who grasps the grandness of Catholic faith by experience and not by a book. And there's just something in her life that makes her so easy to respect. And I'll repeat myself here. I wanted to believe, and I wanted my child to believe. And if belonging to a church would give her the grace of faith in God and the companionable love of the saints, then the thing to do was to have her baptized Catholic. That is the message of joy that today is all about. Dorothy Day did not feel pressured to become Catholic or even take the church seriously. She didn't do it out of a sense of duty or need. That came later. She became Catholic because she gradually came to understand the overwhelming love that God has for us all. She wanted a love that would order all other loves in her life, whether it be for her daughter or for the poor and the marginalized in general. It all starts with that inner understanding of divine love, because once you've got that, you've got joy. Whatever else life throws at you, you've got joy because you've got faith. It wasn't entirely clear in this book. Dorothy Day is remembered for her fight for workers' rights. That is how she is remembered, for fair wages and safe work environments. The true origin of that work was not from some half-baked philosophy like Marxist communism, a hypocritical philosophy in addition to an unattainable one. No, the true origin of her work came from the joy of being loved by God. Because if you know you're loved by God, you know that love is meant to be shared. And frankly, that is exactly how saints are made. The love of God and the joy of faith that is just simply too powerful not to be shared. That is what all saints have in common, in spite of their many differences. And in like terms, we are all different here today, very much so, if you don't mind me saying, but we can all be saints in our own style, as long as we let the love of God move us into action. So think about that, especially when you see a pink candle in a church.